In this video, we're going to take a look at factorizing a quadratic expression with a common factor. So sometimes we're given a quadratic expression to factorize, but the coefficient of x squared, the a term, is no longer 1. But it may be a common factor of the other coefficients and the constant. So here we have 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. So there's no longer a 1 in front, it's no longer an invisible number. But we can see that 2, 4, and 6 all share common factors. And so what we do when we factorize with a common factor is we simply factor out that common factor first. So step 1, take out that common factor. So I'm going to divide each of these individual terms by my common factor of 2. So that factor of 2 comes out on the outside of the brackets, and I'm left with, this will cancel out, an x squared on the inside. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Once I've done that, you can see the expression inside the brackets is now a simple quadratic with a value of 1. So now I just factorize the contents of the brackets like normal. So I'm going to look for the factors of negative 3 that add to positive 2, and so I'm going to use negative 1 and positive 3. And I end up by factorizing that into its 2 brackets, and all I've got to do is remember to keep this 2 on the outside of all my brackets and bring that down. So here's an example. I have 6x squared plus 18x minus 60. So my common factor here is going to be 6. So I'm going to divide each of these by 6. In doing so, I'm going to cancel this out. I'm going to be left with 3 here, and I'm going to be left with a negative 10. Now inside my brackets, I no longer have an a greater than 1. I can just factorize this like normal. So I'm going to look for the factors of negative 10 that add to positive 3. I have 1 and 10. I have 2 and 5. And let's just have a quicker look at these 2 and 5s and see if I can reverse one of them to get to positive 3. Well, if I have negative 2 times 5, I get a negative 10. And if I add these together, I end up with a positive 3. So this is my pairing that I'm going to use. So now my brackets are going to have a negative 2 and a positive 5. And I've just got to remember to take that 6 and put it down in front of my pair of brackets. Okay, in this one I have 2x squared plus 20x plus 50. Again, my highest common factor is going to be this term in the front here, which is 2. So I divide each of these by 2. So the 2 goes on the outside of the brackets, and I'm left with x squared plus 10x plus 25 once I've halved all of these. Then I factorize this like normal, so I'm looking for the factors of 25 that add to 10, and I know that's going to be a 5. So now I have 2 bracket x plus 5 bracket x plus 5. So I actually have a square in here, and so I can simplify this further by saying 2 and then bracket x plus 5 squared. Okay, and this one, obviously this is screaming out a difference of squares. However, we still want to factorize that common factor out first. So as much as 36 is a squared number, let's factor out that 4 out of both of these first. Now we're left with a x squared minus 9, which is still a difference of squares. And I can factorize this as I would any other difference of squares, where I'm going to use a square root, and it's going to be plus 3 minus 3. And just don't forget that 4 that's out on front there needs to come down and be in front of those brackets.